When you're looking for a weather forecast, where do you go? If you're like me, you check the weather app on your phone or flip on the Weather Channel. But these forecasts are often done by national weather services and can gloss over the specific nuances of climate and terrain that can make a weather forecast truly local. Well, our guest this evening is hoping to find an alternative to these national forecasts by offering locally focused weather for the Finger Lakes and even places further afield on his website, fingerlakesweather.com. Drew Montrell, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight.
So just to get us started, I'm wondering if you can kind of explain what you offer at fingerlakesweather.com.
Well, I'm kind of offering two different aspects. First, I have a paid service where different clients can come in and get exactly the information they need for exactly their location, whatever sort of services they're doing. So we're talking schools, summer camps, farms, golf courses. That's the kind of places that I'm targeting with that. On the other hand, I also have a lot of information that's freely available to the public to give them that real local weather forecast and ultimately to help them plan around the weather, especially during severe weather, and to help keep them safe.
And I'm just wondering what kind of happened to make you decide to start this website in the first place?
Well, I've always had a real passion for the weather ever since as far back as I can remember. I've always loved the weather and kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do. Back when I was in high school, I actually made another website that I'm still running, grotonweather.com, and I initially made that because I got tired of answering the "Are we going to have a snow day?" question about 100 times a day. So I was like, I'm going to put it up online, and I started doing forecasts and that. And then after I graduated from SUNY Oswego, I tried out a couple different aspects of doing the weather. I tried TV, I did an internship with the National Weather Service. But the thing that I did that I really liked is we had a small business forecasting lake effect snow for the schools up in the snow belt. And I really thought that I could apply that same principle down to the Finger Lakes, kind of try to fill the void, because there's not really a real good local weather source that covers the entire Finger Lakes. So that's kind of how I got started, and it's just kind of grown from there over the past few years.
And thinking about the kind of forecasts that these more nationally focused services can offer, where do these kind of services fall short?
I think a lot of the subtle microclimates that are in the Finger Lakes, somebody that's forecasting from Georgia or out in California or wherever else they might be, if they haven't lived here and experienced the weather in the Finger Lakes, they're not going to know kind of how the weather behaves, and they're not going to be able to apply that local touch. I've grown up in the Finger Lakes, and like I said, I've always been interested in the weather, so I've been watching the weather now for the past 20 plus years in the Finger Lakes. Well, obviously wasn't forecasting it until the past few years after I graduated, but that's kind of what I bring, is that real local touch, the local knowledge. I kind of have a feel for where the storms go. I've got a real good understanding of lake effect snow, especially spending 4 years at SUNY Oswego. So it's that local touch that the national companies they can't bring that because they haven't been here, so they don't really know what it's like.
And that's something that I'm pretty interested in, is kind of what makes it so complicated to forecast the weather for the Finger Lakes. Give us an example of what makes forecasting Finger Lakes weather so challenging.
First of all, there's the lakes, both the Finger Lakes and the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes actually have a huge impact on our weather. If you compare our weather to a similar latitude to the west of the Great Lakes, where they're not getting influenced by them, it gets a lot hotter in the summer, a lot more humid in the summer, but it gets a lot colder in the winter, and they don't get as much snow, even though it's colder. So the lakes have a huge impact, also all the hills and terrain. Actually, a lot of times when I'm forecasting, my higher temperatures will be further north, kind of in the lake plain, areas like Geneva, Canandaigua, Rochester, up into Wayne counties. Those will be my warmest spots, whereas areas further south where there's more hills, a lot of times those are kind of cooler. So it's kind of a reversal of what you'd expect under normal circumstances.
You think of maybe these national weather services having tons of equipment and a lot of infrastructure to kind of predict the weather and all this data that they're collecting, that they're modeling their forecasts upon. For someone like you who's maybe running a bit of a smaller operation, like where does your data come from?
Well, a lot of that data the Weather Service publishes online for freely accessible for anybody. The surface observations, they're sent every hour from stations all across the country. And I actually read a news article that New York State's looking to put in an even finer scale network of stations in the next 3 years, I think, and that would send data every 5 minutes, and that would just be a tremendous help. But the radar data, I bought a program that can display it, and I can move around and zoom in on the areas I want and see exactly what I want. Satellite data is pretty easily accessible online. There are certain weather models that the Weather Service puts out that you can get some limited data, but I also bought a subscription to another weather provider to get access to more models and at a higher resolution, including the European model, which is almost always better than any other weather model in the world. So, that's been a big boost since I bought access to that. But what it really comes down to is the experience. Anybody can go and look at these websites and look at the maps and see all this stuff, but to be able to put it all together, along with your experience, knowing when you messed up a forecast in previous situations and knowing not to do that again, just putting it, I like to describe it as a puzzle. There's all these little pieces, and you got to kind of put them together, and the local part of it is a pretty big piece of that puzzle.
At the end of the day, how would you maybe assess your own accuracy as compared to the National Weather Service's?
That's a great question. I really do like to go back and look at how my forecast did, because that's there's a wealth of learning there, especially when a forecast doesn't quite go how I expect. If I go back and look and see, okay, this is why I thought it would happen, and then this is what did happen, I can try to piece together what changed and what happened. I especially like to do this with my snowfall maps in the winter. I'll have people send me in how much snow they got on Facebook, so I'll get 100 reports, plus I supplement that with the National Weather Service reports, and I'll plot those locations right on my snow map, and so I can see, did this spot that got 11 inches, was I saying something like 6 to 12 inches? Did it fall in that range? So going back and looking is a real way to kind of really learn a lot about how you're doing and what maybe to change.
I know you mentioned that this has kind of been a long time interest of yours. I mean, what kind of gets you up and excited about forecasting the weather each morning?
It's always different. During the day, I'm always kind of looking at the weather, but overnight, I do try to sleep a little bit, except for when severe weather, then I might not get a whole lot of sleep. But, I haven't looked at the weather in, 6-8 hours if it's a good night, and, so I don't really know what's going on. So, I get up in the morning and, look outside and see what the clouds are doing, see if it's kind of what I expected. I really focus in on the short-term forecasts. So having a big block where I don't really know what's going on in the weather, getting up each morning and seeing, where all the fronts are, where the storms are, it's always different. It's always exciting. So there's always little surprises in there too.
On either a very micro and a very macro scale, why do you think people should care about what's happening in their environment?
Well, it really affects, everything that we do. We just kind of take it for granted because we have the weather forecast so easily available. But I found that a lot of people end up checking the weather every day and, make these little decisions by, what sort of clothes to wear. Do I bring the umbrella? It can set the stage for their whole day. It's building up a trust with people during those quiet times, and then when severe weather does strike, they know of a place to go to. They know kind of the style that the forecast is in. It makes it a little easier to understand. They know what to expect. And, that can ultimately help keep them safe and help them make good decisions, on a daily basis and also in those severe situations.
Well, I have been speaking with Drew Montrell of FingerLakesWeather.com about his effort to make weather forecasting for the Finger Lakes more local. Drew, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.